Hi and welcome to Inside's Industry Immersion Series. In this series, you will meet data scientists from all across the world as they come and discuss what's trending in the data science and AI space. Let's begin today's episode of Industry Immersion with yet another speaker.
Expert Talks session, and today we have Amit Dayal with us. Amit, could we quickly check our cameras and microphone? My cameras are working, but microphone, could we have a quick check, Amit? You are muted. So if you can unmute your mic, left bottom.
Yeah, I think. Am I audible now?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you loud.
I can see you. I hope you can also see me.
Yes. So warm welcome to you, Amit, and warm good morning to you on a Sunday morning. Thank you for sparing your time. I know it's a personal time, and you came forward to help a lot of our friends out here to understand the space of data science a little better from the management perspective. So a big thank you from you on behalf of Insight and on behalf of the entire cohort members who are attending the session today. Good, strong 2,200 people plus is what I'm seeing, but this only grows. I expect it to reach close to 300. So, friends, could we start with a small thank you note to Amit? So we can quickly give a thank you to Amit for coming up and spending some time with all of us. So, Amit, I'll not take any further time. This is your session. This is your time. So I hand it over to you. Let's start with a simple introduction of yours to the audiences today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Suchit. And I'm really glad to come to this session and discuss with you all on my experiences with data science. Let me brief you about myself. My name is Amit Dayal, and I'm working as a senior manager for Capgemini in Bangalore. And I'm looking after multiple projects in data science, which includes automobiles and banking. I've been working with one of the major German automaker for the past 3 years on data science projects. Lately, I have switched to one of the major bank in India for their data science project. It's related to their cards operations. So I have about 18 years of experience in IT. Throughout my career, I've been working in IT industry, and been into data science since 2013. So it's almost 6 years now. So I started with Brunei Shell. I was working in Brunei Darussalam. So I worked with Brunei Shell for 2 years, and that's where I started my career in data science. It was a predictive analytics project. At that time, the technology was not that robust, which it is today. So we were using Oracle and Excel sheets to do that analysis. So that's where I started. And later on, I switched to a major bank, a European bank. For that, I worked on multiple data science projects for them, specific to fraud analysis. And then I switched to, for that bank, I worked for 3 years. And then I switched to Daimler, which is one of the major accounts we had. And there too, I worked for 3 years. And now, as I mentioned, I'm working for a major bank in India. So that's been my experience. My qualification, I'm basically MBA in finance. So I have that experience which is required for a data scientist to work. So that's pretty much about myself. Suchit, now would you like to start with something specific?
Yes, I think I got a glimpse of not only about you, but also the journey that you traversed. So would it be right to say that when you got into data science, the field was not that matured, so the industry was not ready for it?
Yes, it was not. Rather, there was a time when people didn't understand what is data. Data science is a very recent term which has been, mushroomed in now. Earlier, nobody understood that. And
but do you think the fundamentals of data science is something that we didn't practice before?
No, it was there. It has been there for almost 100 years now, if I'm not wrong. I may be over-exaggerating, but it's been there for a very long time. The only thing is, now the volume of data has increased so much that now it has been given a stream in itself called data science, with new technologies, open source applications available, large volume of data, terabytes of data produced every day. So to manage that, now things have changed. It has been categorized into a data science bucket. But earlier it was there, very much there. People were rather using all the techniques through hand. I mean, they were not Excel also earlier, so it has been there.
So now only the field has matured because of probably the hardware and the techniques, right?
Hardware, yeah, of course. One thing is their hardware, because everything is done in memory now. So hardware plays an important role. And secondly, the processing time has increased. volume of data has increased, everything has increased, and that is the reason why this stream has come up now. It's been given a name as data science. Earlier it used to be called analytics only,
Right.
marketing analytics, sales analytics. Now it has been given a stream name.
Yeah. So, I mean, nomenclatures are good in its own ways, but end of the day, it is all common sense, right?
Yes.
It's just the way you deal with data.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the second question, which probably is an important question for a lot of us today in the session. So, a lot of us are actually managers. Do you think data science is something that is important for managers? And if yes, why?
Yes. Yes, they have to learn, because I think that that time of ERP, it has gone a long time, and the applications which were custom built, that is still there, but the volume of data they have generated and their analysis now is a very important component for business to grow. They have the data, but they don't know how to use it. So that's where data science comes in, and because of that, the managers need to reskill them. Even the people who are not working in data science need to share that data and the meaning of that data to analytic teams to understand, and to evaluate and come up with meaningful things. So all managers, whether they are new or they are old, they have to must get into data science now. So that is very important. Besides, the concept of data lake is coming up. So data lake is something which conventional managers, if they are working on different technologies, different applications, what companies are doing is, like, rather than having their data in their single repositories, they are changing now and bringing all the data into, they're bringing all the data into their data lakes, so for their wider data strategy of the organization, which is more scalable, and they want to have a unified platform, so that multiple streams of data generated from different applications should come together, so that business take more insight into the data, and gives better results for the organization to grow. So for that, they need their managers on their respective applications to be skilled in data science and data analytics, as well as they want a new stream of managers who are specialized in this stream only to come up and take up their responsibility. So it's very important.
Yeah. So I get the fair idea that it's more about end of the day, companies are headed towards data-driven decision making.
Absolutely.
And almost every company has to bank on data. You can't take decisions based on intuition. So if you were to kind of execute strategies, you need to run projects that are backed by data.
Yes.
To run projects that are backed by data, you need managers who can understand how these projects really operate, right?
Yes.
So thank you for that insight. And let's move on to the next question, which I think would be kind of a transition for that you faced during your early years. So when you moved from your regular roles into a data-oriented role, so what kind of challenges did you face as a manager?
Oh, I faced a lot of challenges. Rather, when I started as I mentioned, in 2013, we started working on Brunei Shell, which is a Dutch company. So they wanted to use analytics to find out, the corrosion rate of the corrosion happening to the undersea pipelines, and they want to analyze like which component or which part of that pipeline is going to get corroded, and that needs to be replaced. I had no clue about that, and I had no clue about what he's talking about, what he's looking for, what is aggression, what is classification, and all those things. So because I came from ERP background. I was into Oracle and PeopleSoft applications. So it was a challenge for me. I hope this challenge is for others also who are working in conventional applications and technologies. So that switch was certainly difficult, because it was very difficult to understand what these people are talking about, because we are creator of data. We are not users of data. As a technical person, I know what my application is going to do, and the data gets captured. Some reports have been given to the senior management, and that is all. But that volume of data which was increasing was not making any sense. That is just more of a reactive kind of a thing which managers were doing or senior management. But that is not giving any, that is giving a current insight to the data. But what data this is going to help in future prediction, it was never there. It was never there. Nobody understood that thing 3-4 years back, that how can we use that data to predict things. That thing actually is now what companies are looking for. And I faced this problem because I did not even understand what they were mentioning, what they were talking about. But now, since so much is available and these courses are coming up, people now understand what they're talking about. And now it's very easy to understand to switch from your conventional technologies to data science and become a good manager. There are a lot of courses available, a lot of trainings available. You can just get you trained. And it's very important to understand the terminology which is now used. These terms were not used in our previous projects and application. I guess I didn't find those terms being used, but now they're very common terms. If somebody talking about regression classification, I don't even know. I mean, I must have read it in school or college days, but I never used it in my day-to-day official work. But now these are terms which are used. So as a manager, you can certainly learn those things with the courses available, and it's better to go into an industry or start working with that knowledge in hand. Because when you go to a meeting room and then talk to today's senior management, they talk a very different language. So you should be aware of that.
Absolutely. So it's more on the education front. Back then, in your days, not many people were educated in data science.
No, not even a book was available. It was whenever you have to search about those things, you have to go to some foreign book which they write in their own way of writing, which you would not. As an Indian, it was difficult to understand what they're talking about.
Right. So it's a lack of knowledge, lack of people culturing the habit of inculcating data into their day-to-day decision making. These are the primary challenges I think anybody would have faced back then if they had started so early in data science. So thanks, Amit. This is also a very nice question. Very nice answer. But friends, if you guys would like to ask Amit some questions, obviously we can't fit in all questions possible in one session. So what I would say is I'll share you guys a link. And please ask questions that are relevant to project management in data science. That's what our theme for today is. Don't ask Amit that how did you solve XYZ problem in your company, which is a data science problem. We are not trying to get into data science solutions. We are trying to understand from a project management perspective. So all the folks who are typing in questions, please fill in your questions in this form. We'll collate it. We'll ask only filtered ones, and we'll try to only address as many as time permits. Okay, we have few set of questions which are already there. First, fixate to those questions, and then when time permits, we'll take up new questions. So please fill in those forms. Any question asked on this chat window will not be entertained. Okay, I've sent the link to all of you. Please share all your questions on that particular link only. Okay. So Amit, let's move on to the next discussion out here. So when you started, you said that you as a manager faced a lot of challenges, but I'm just thinking, how difficult was it for the companies to accept data science? I mean, you yourself as an individual faced so many challenges, but how do you think companies really wanted to kind of adopt to data science? How do you get them to adopt data science? You knew that data science is the future, though there were a lot of challenges, but you wanted the companies to start accepting it. How did you do that?
Yeah, I think most of the company nowadays are quite aware of this. They know that to survive, they need to adopt the statistical techniques now. So it's not something which companies do not know. And now they're approaching consulting organizations like ours and many others to help them out in understanding, how they can switch to the latest techniques in data science, in analytics, predictive analysis, NLP, and all that. So they do have, companies are very conscious nowadays. We cannot say like they don't know. They have they are hiring managers, they are hiring specialists just to understand how to do it, how they can do it. And to execute, they are going to consulting organizations for their help. So whenever I have gone to, and when I'm working on in proposal or something, I realize that the companies have very good knowledge. So it is not very difficult to make them understand, but the only thing is how it can be done is something which they are quite curious to know about. If some companies are small, some are big, so we advise that the companies which are small and their data is not very sensitive, they can go on cloud, they can go for subscription models. whereas which companies who have data which are sensitive, they prefer in-house, servers being made, clusters being made, and so they can afford. So they are just adopting that culture. But in both these situations, the thing is like, now, as I mentioned earlier, most of the companies, they want their enterprise-related data strategy to be available now. They should make their strategies in such a way which is much more scalable, and then they have a united platform. They have one platform, and through which the data is generated or captured or stored, and they want very actionable insight of their data, so that their sales and marketing, their operations, their HR, they all should read that information, then come up with a decision. So companies are quite conscious. The only thing is that as a consulting organizations or within our managers within our captive organization, we should have that knowledge. We should have knowledge about what is modeling. Should have knowledge about what is big data. We should have knowledge about what is an architecture, a big data and data science architectures. We should have very good understanding of data science. What it does. What is NLP? What is predictive analysis? What are the other things which are artificial intelligence, deep learning. So these are things which the organizations now are looking for, and they want trained people available. But the thing is like nowadays, because it is coming up so fast that every organization is trying to do it, and the resources available to do it are very less. So we have a challenge with the skilled resources available. And I must say that this is a very good time for people who are interested in getting into this or want to survive in this industry to learn these techniques.
Awesome.
Holistically, it's not just one specific thing you have done it, but you have to understand from end to end. That is how to talk to the manager, how to talk to the organization, try to understand what with their business. Because in data science, because it is an analytic project, you must understand their business as well. If you are talking about banking, you have to be very good in banking. Mm-hmm. Because it's a very domain specific thing. It cannot be like, it's just not coding. It's everything in it.
Yeah, I think you just touched upon to ask you this question that, see, I might be 15 years plus in the industry and I'm more into the managerial activities. How important is it for me to code out the solution? If you say NLP, I should know NLP. So till what degree should I know NLP? That is it like I can actually write a code to do sentiment analysis and show it to the customer, or do I need to be a person who can explain it to the customers, who can understand the nitty-gritties and explain? So where do you put the threshold?
It's always a team that works, but as a manager, your role. So there are different type of roles within an organization on a managerial level also. Governance and management level. It's not that you have to be technically very sound, but you should be very good in understanding the business, and you should have that analytical bend of mind, and then you should have a very high level understanding of how the data science works. As a manager, you may not be writing codes. That is true. But you, as a manager, are expected to interact with business, to talk to them in their language, and gather that information, and then document it properly. And if we are very specific talking about data scientists, then I must say, there are a couple of roles that data science people play as a manager. One is your project manager role, and then you have senior data scientist role. Then you have principal data scientist and team members, data scientist. You can find them as a junior level. But as a manager level or a senior manager level, you should have very good understanding of business, and then you will be responsible for creating all the so-called BRDs. A business design document. You should be able to create those documents. So for that, you should have a complete knowledge of business and the technology involved. And not from just data science perspective, but you should know how the data is coming, how the flow of data, how the models are being made. So that knowledge you should be having.
Okay, so it's more on the part where you can explain it without the help of a dev, without the help of a technical guy, right? So you should be able to explain it at an abstract level so that your stakeholders can understand.
Yes, as a manager, you should be, because you are dealing with stakeholders.
Right.
Python code and R code are not very difficult to make. They can be made in a very small, and besides, there are tools are available. Drag and drop. Kind of tools available.
Right.
What needs to be done? How to evaluate things? How to
Right.
understand business, and then how to because you are predicting something. Because you are predicting something, you should know how to test it properly so that your prediction doesn't go wrong. You
Right.
predicted that certain product is not going to be there in the market for a longer time, and because of your analysis as a manager, they stop production of that, and then suddenly that thing is huge in demand. So your career would be at stake in that. So you should have very good understanding, analytic ability, and then
Yeah.
understanding from end to end of the.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thanks for that insight. So let's move on to the next question. Now, a lot of people actually want to understand, like, since this is a very new concept, not many people are seeing it in the companies right now. There are teams that get formed while you're doing data science projects. So how does the hierarchy really work out? And I was actually surprised when I saw one of these slides, which I think is a narrowed down version. But what I missed out in the slide was, where do managers really fit in? I couldn't see the managers in the project. This is only the business analysts, the data engineers, the scientists, DevOps folks, but I couldn't find where do the managers really fit in. So if you can probably, if you want, you can use annotation tool and explain where do managers really fit in this entire team.
See, I think, in this, basically, when it managers are in all the stream, all the boxes have managers. The green line which you are showing, I think that data scientist, DevOps, yeah, you need managers in all those things. Yes.
So could you give me a little brief about what?
I'll tell you the structure now. I mean, this is a very generic structure, but in organization, how does it work? You always have a program director, or
Right.
it could be anybody who is the senior most person who is talking to the senior most stakeholders, who decide
Right.
on the business. So that kind of a person is very much required. Then
Right.
you have leads for big data. Big data itself is a very big stream. So you need a manager or senior manager who's looking after a big data application and architect. So he has his own team available, which have data warehousing managers, or leads, or senior, somebody senior or junior. You need a team resource who have a data warehousing experience. Then you have ETL team members required. Then you have data modelers required in that manager's stream. So, and then you have data scientist. Then data scientist has a principal lead data scientist, you can say, and then you can say senior data scientist. Then you have junior data scientists who could be a technical people who with R and Python skills, whichever is demanded by the organization. Then you have a manager for business analyst team, who are the people who will understand business, make all those BRD documents and all that. So for that, you need a set of people. So you need a general manager, a person with a general management skill, who can bind all those people also, which our senior program manager can also do it. But in our projects, we have a manager who, because in data science, data science is more of an analytic kind of a thing, but there are reportings also. The people who specifically work on dashboards, who are more of a, because predictive is one thing, but realistic or what is happening right now, I got a question, the functional manager and technical manager. You don't need functional and technical actually. Now that concept has gone. You have, these are not people, conventionally we used to use functional manager and technical manager. Now we have a very different terms for you. This whole data mining is a different concept. Data mining required different kind of skill sets. So we have functional managers, you can say them as business analysts. Here everything is analyst. Technical managers are like, technical analyst or analyst kind of thing. I'm seeing some questions over there. That's the reason I responded to it. So if general manager, a normal project manager would be, he would looking after a reporting architecture, agile coach, he would be there. Then you have a test lead, and then you have team lead or a scrum master. Then you have business analyst. So all these people make up a complete data science team. So you need managers in every stream because every stream requires interaction with business.
Right. So yeah, I think then it's all across. The green line actually speaks that, right?
Yes,
So
it is across. Actually, it is across. Then you have mentioned about DevOps also. It is more of an infra kind of a thing. And
yeah,
so
and you need a separate manager for that as
separate
well.
manager, yes. All these
Ah,
things. One person cannot do all these things.
right. True. So, as a follow-up question, since you have worked in both IT and data science, so how do you find IT project management and data science project management very different?
See, IT project management, data science, just as I mentioned earlier, IT project management is a general project management. It can be like you can do anything. You can be a ERP manager, you can be a Java manager or embedded or anything you can. But data science managers require a very different skill. Like for example, if I'm saying that I am a very good, like I used to be a manager for ERP, finance and HR. So I had very good knowledge of that product, PeopleSoft. We used to call it CMN, financial FSM. Something. So I had very good knowledge about that product and the tools which are used in that product. I was very good in functionality from start to end, what are the things available. But in data science projects are actually coming up from data mining, data warehousing skills. So it is not too much into, when you're talking about technology, you're not too much into functional things. It's more very technical kind of a thing, but you need a lot of senior people who are interacting with business to understand the business. It's very important to understand that what is analytics per se, but it is not. It is quite different from the general IT project management, where somebody has mentioned about functional manager, technical manager. Uh, these kind of things are further, divided into very different data science. As I mentioned, there are big data managers, there are data scientists available, there are business analysts there, and then now because now Scrum has come up, so these projects are these managers are very different from our old conventional IT management. We don't use those techniques of waterfall now. Most of the projects in data science are all agile, though we use waterfall also. The techniques have changed now, and there are other techniques also available in data science projects. So in the earlier IT project, when I started, we were working on waterfall methodology. But since I've come into data science, we are totally using agile methodologies. So there is a difference now. There's a huge difference.
Absolutely. So there are project management frameworks and there are data science frameworks, right? So
Yes.
it's a hybrid combination, which I think most of the companies would want to kind of follow in data science, not isolated components. So having talked about this, could you please help me understand? So waterfall and the traditional way of IT project management, waterfall and agile. Okay, so there are two ways of thinking through it. One, the first slide, which I'm showing you right now. Here I see the steps in a waterfall model and agile model. But if I were to orient it to data science, waterfall is done this way and agile is done this way. Are these the only ones, or does the industry follow something different, or it's altogether a new approach? So if you
See,
can,
it all
these two.
depends upon how the management works, because people who
Yeah.
are very traditional are going to use their IT project management, traditional waterfall method, which they have been more accustomed to or more, used to. So it all depends upon how you want to do it. And
Right.
now the new technique which I use is more agile, but there are managers who are still working on waterfall method and it's working nicely. There is no problem. The only thing is like it takes a little more time than the agile to get an output, to find results. So waterfall is still being used, very much in use, but agile has taken over, and a lot of projects are actually working on agile. But what I have seen in a personal capacity is like, both these techniques are, are good in their own way. But in data science project, we use data mining techniques, which is called this CRISP DS, which is a combination of both agile methodology and Kanban. So I'm not saying that traditional is bad or agile is bad, but in data science projects, the data mining technique, CRISP, is actually more.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I actually had a follow-up question on that as well. That what kind of methodologies that you have used. So we'll come to that. But thank you for clarifying that these are not the real ones that is used in day-to-day life.
They are used. They are very much alive. A lot of companies are using these waterfall also, agile also, but the best is CRISP, which is a data mining technique.
CRISP. Okay. So you say CRISP is being followed widely, and that is what even I did a small research and I figured out. It was a small research. I'll come to that question in a bit. But before I get to that question, for a company that is starting afresh in data science, okay, what would you recommend? Like they're like totally new in data science. They don't have sufficient resources in data science, and they don't have idea about what exactly is data science. So what do you recommend such companies? And especially because we have a lot of industry leaders out here. A lot of the folks are well above. I mean, I predicted 300, but I see 400 people in this session today. So yeah, my machine needs to learn. But yeah, so having said that, so many folks out here, and a lot of them above 15 years to 20 years to 30, 25 years. These are the people who will actually orient their companies to start data-driven culture. So how do you actually introduce a data-driven culture to a company that has never done data science?
See, market is deciding what they have to do, and they have to take on data science. And as I mentioned, they need good specialists, especially in data science domain, in their organization, and to let them know what are the things which are required. And then of course they have to develop a internal team to do it. People with domain knowledge is very important. Domain means their business understanding. People should have very good understanding, at least those managers, and they should also have a technical background. So these are the two things very much required. And because to implement a data science project or to start that journey, these are the two important people there who are required in your team. Person with domain knowledge and technical expertise. And then you have to bring in organizations who are into this stream, because it's a big undertaking, to be very honest. It's not something. It requires a lot of initial capital and then a lot of skilled people, and they are quite expensive to talk about. And then you need applications, there are a lot of applications, small applications which are required, but most of them are actually open source, so it's not very expensive. But to start your own in-house data science application, you need some investment on that. And but then there are companies who are available. But there are companies, companies who are ready to give their resources also, which can help in the infrastructure development. And consulting organization can come over and do that. Then you can also go in for cloud-based applications in data science. Cloud-based means Azure is available, Cloudera is available, IBM applications are available. A lot of things are available actually, which are already there, installed. They have their own servers. You can go in for software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and then the companies can actually, and they can even provide your data. If you are getting into marketing, they can even provide data for analytic purpose, and Google is also providing that data. So basically, it's either you can go in for your in-house, which is quite expensive. Cloud-based is cheaper, but then you have to buy the data, because buying data is also an expensive endeavor. But these are the two very good methods a company can start, evaluating. But for that, they need some kind of a guidance, some kind of in-house capabilities also available, because there are a lot of tools and techniques which are available in the market, and that can really confuse anybody.
Awesome. Yeah. So technically, it's always expensive when you're starting up fresh as a.
Yes, just because the benefits are very good. The benefits are so much. So I mean, you really know where you have to focus on. If you have um, that knowledge is available with you, and secondly, all your competitors are doing it. So you have to either you do it or you perish. So that is
Yeah,
important. So
you can't ignore this. Right?
can't ignore. You have to make that investment. Usually.
Right. Okay. So getting into the DNA of the company is something that we would definitely want all the companies to start to get following soon. Because once data-driven culture is embedded into your system, you are a competitive company. You're a company that can stand the competition. So thanks a lot, Amit, for this insight as well. So Amit, there's this question that I'll ask you towards probably the end of the session, and I think this also would sync up with a lot of people's question. It's about if you could give a very small, I mean, it's kind of very small walkthrough as to an end-to-end project. How did you manage? So you can pick up any use case that you solved, and at a very I know it's technically impossible in a half an hour, 1 hour session to discuss everything about project management. So let's be logical and try to see in a very small gist if you can walk us through one of your experiences about how do you start a project, how do you handle it, how did you execute it, and finally how did you kind of complete it. So if you could walk us through that, but that'll be towards the end of the session. I have a few more questions before I move on to the questions from the audience. So the next question that I think we already discussed on this, you spoke about CRISP-DM being one of the most popular ones, right? So in the industry, what do you think kind of is the future? Which one do you think is going to make out the cut? Because these are the three most popular ones: CRISP-DM, SEMA, KDD. Which one do you think might actually?
Crisp is working. Crisp is on the top, I think, and I have because I have worked on Crisp, so I have knowledge about that. But others are also they're all agile and Kanban based.
Okay, so it's more of
popularity.
Yeah. Okay, it's just about the popularity, but it's more of a customization for your own needs.
Yes, and then Crisp has been there for a very long time. Data mining, I mean, it was the Crisp which has, data science is nothing but an extension of data mining. It was what warehousing used to do on a limited amount of data, on a sequentially set up data, in your database. Now the database has changed, data has changed. It could be structured, unstructured. So it's only the volume and the structure of the data that has changed. The way of handling a little bit has changed beyond, the capturing the data, how you evaluate it. But the technique to do that entire process, the methodology remains the same. So CRISP is one of the techniques which is still used. What was used in data warehousing earlier, and it is still doing the same thing. So I would suggest, and the full form of CRISP is cross-industry standard process and data mining. So it's still being used, and it's not very difficult to understand. It's basically, the first step is to understand, and this is how we also work in our projects. It's the same way. We have very good understanding of business. We develop very good understanding of business, and first of all, we should have very good understanding of business, and then we should have very good understanding of the data which they are using. So for that, we have this actually incorporates the entire the study stage, or initial stage of any data, any project management. Whether it is it's a waterfall or in agile, you must have seen. First of all, information gathering is the most important part, the initial part. And then you have data preparation, and then data, once you have that understanding, then you have data preparation, how you prepare the data. For that, you have different techniques available. That's where, your big data thing, your modeling, your, how do you call it as, if a little bit of technique in the raw, how you make your raw layer, your process layer, analytical layers, how it goes into your Hive and big data and all those things, technical stuff. So your data preparation happens over there. And then after that, you get into your data science, in which you prepare your models. You have to use multiple techniques to use different type of I'm getting some questions also, like EDN.
Okay. Yeah, you can ignore the questions. So
there's two types of modeling. I think they got confused with modeling. There is one modeling which happens in the data study phase, before the data, where you getting into big data. That means, you are trying to structure that data into a more flattened form so that, it can be entered into big data. So that is also called modeling. So that is a subject in itself. I cannot explain this in session, but basically there are raw, there are process layer, there are analytical layers that has been made. So once you have that data in your big data, and after that, data science comes. Data science also has a term called modeling, but that modeling is actually your analytic modeling, the models which which will help you in your machine learning and predictions. So that modeling is done, and that modeling is also been evaluated. Your QA, your testing is done. It's been done by the developer itself, based on the parameters which have been decided initially. And once that evaluation is done, it is passed its test. The machine has learned everything, and then you deploy it. But meanwhile, that evaluation, again and again, you have to go to business understanding again and again. That cycle keeps on going on. You are making some evaluation, you check with your business understanding, then it again goes to your data understanding, then data preparation, then again modeling. That cycle keeps on going on. And that keeps on going on. And once you are deployed, that doesn't mean your assignment has ended. Your things have completed. So that deployment means that after every couple of months or after some time, you have to rework on your model, keep on So in data science, it is a continuous process. So it is a kind of agile, of course, but it's agile. It keeps on going on. Even the deployment does not mean it is 100% deployment. You keep on changing it, and because the things change, the data change. Let's see if you're taking some data from Google, and suddenly they have added a couple of fields, or they have changed their structure. So you have to rework on your the whole thing. So the deployment may change.
Absolutely. So it's like highly, I would say, connected steps. Most of the steps are like to each other. Also, it's a cyclic step.
It is a cyclic.
Iterative. So once you have gone through it, it's not that you'll never again do it. So you break it down. You break down a bigger problem to smaller chunks, and then solve one chunk at a time, probably in an agile method. And then you got to keep reiterating the entire process over and over and over again till infinity.
Yes.
Right. So
and there are times when you have to abandon your models also. What model you have made now may not be relevant after 1 year or 2 years. Things have changed. So you have to. You should have a strategy with your management to decide when it has to be phased off.
And once you phase off, it's again a new project altogether.
A new project, yeah.
Right. Awesome. So this is something that I think all of us should carry forward, that data science, please don't assume that it's like you're building one standard product that is created and then goes to support activities later on. Data science does encompass that, but data science changes very fast. Products change very fast. Every time you change, you're technically creating a new product altogether. And when you're creating a new product altogether, it's a new project altogether. And very rare cases that you'll see data science products getting totally into support-based activities. So data science is very dynamic in that sense. Okay, Amit, I think one final question before I move on to the audience questions. It's something to do with estimation. Now, in data science, a lot of stuffs are research-based. Okay, we have to research a lot. We have to kind of figure out stuffs and integrities before we actually go ahead and deploy it. Considering a research-based environment, how do you really have estimations or timelines? Something in IT projects, it's pretty straightforward. We have a lot of metrics. We just multiply the metrics, we put it in Excel sheet, and we get the timelines and how many resources are required. The same thing, I don't see how we could apply in data science. So can you give us a little clarity? How do I really estimate, and how do I estimate resources and timelines in the world of data science?
If you're using a conventional model time, your waterfall, then you already know how many resources you need from the very beginning in the study phase, then how many resources you need in the development, in the testing phase, how many. So you bring in your resources based on phases. In Agile, you always have a team available who are working iteratively on things, so that you already know about that. But in data science, you need a completely different kind of understanding. You actually, first of all, you need to understand what is the complexity of the model which you are making. Based on that, you can only make your sprints. It's not that you have a standard 2 week or 4 week of sprint. It's not like that. It depends upon the complexity. So complexity means, if you have, let's say, I'll just take my example in the project which I am working on. So we have about 14 to 15 use cases available. So we have segregated them, into one is simple, one is very advanced level, very high level, and one is very complex, and one is medium. Two are medium, and rest 10 or 11 are simple. So based on that, we may have prepared the sprints. The one which is very complex or very advanced, it will take more time. The sprint time would be more, whereas the simple one would be like a month's time or a couple of weeks time. Now the important thing comes in: how do we find out, which is advanced, which is simple, which is medium? That is a very important thing to understand, because your estimates and your resource and timelines based on those sprints. So the complexity judgment is important. So that is something which comes from the business, your business understanding, your data understanding, the skills of the people who are available, and of course the timelines will be based on the complexity. So how do you define it? Like for example, I'll just take one example of just like it's marketing. Let's say like what I'm doing, I'm just going to change those terms and terminology, because I'm not supposed to tell all those things. But if I talk about one of the assignment is one of the use cases for marketing, and it's called location based, let's say, and it's a real time. Real time means it's a mode is real time, and we consider it as simple based on how much volume of data we are using, and how many variables we are using, how many variables would be there, and overall complexity, to understand how complex it is. Whereas there is another one which is called Customer 360, which is very advanced and very complex. It has multiple variables, more than 1,000 variables which have been used, and it is going to be a batch process. These are some factors which I'm telling you, which tells you about how much time you have to spend on each use case. Based on that, you estimate the number of resources and the timelines. The resources, I'm just talking about post, that you have already captured the data. Now you are going to just prepare data sets for it. Post that, you are going to take time based on the complexity. So, see, there are two things. There is a complete project which starts from very beginning, conception till your complete delivery of your data science things, which includes your data science, your big data and all those things, study as well as big data as well as data science. But once you have everything available, your data has been captured. You already have your clusters prepared. Your data is actually being captured. Now you are working on data science. So because there are some companies who are mature, they have everything available, and now only thing is the data science is supposed to use, manager is supposed to use that to evaluate it. So that's when I'm talking about. You have everything, now you are estimating. So for that, you have to understand the complexity of the use case. Based on that, the timelines will be based on on your use case, because it's a simple one. Time will be less. The sprint will be like 1 month, 2 months. If it is medium, 4 months. Very complex, possibly 5 months or 6 months. Resources, like you need a principal data scientist, you need a senior data scientist, then you need junior so-called data scientists, but they're all Python or R developers.
Usually, I mean, when we worked in IT, when you start a project, if you're doing for the very first time, you never had clear-cut answers, right? You never had clear-cut sprint schedules. So what we did was we started off with an estimation based on what the tech team felt. So we used to have a discussion between managers and tech teams, and based on that, we used to have the level of complexity that is expected. After exercising this for multiple times, now we started getting a finer idea as to what exactly a complex sprint would last how long. A medium complex would last how long. So we got that idea, and once we standardized those ideas, that's where we could actually be more accurate in our predictions, right? So I think like machine learning, like data science, even project management is also on similar lines. You have to first start with something, okay? Don't try to find out the right answer. First of all, you're never going to get to the right answer because there's no right answer. So you start with something, and over a period, you build accuracy towards what is expected and not exactly. So you don't have to be 100% correct. You have to try to get as close as possible. Right, Amit?
True, very true.
Thanks a lot. So it's more of an evolving process. That's the whole point. So I think, friends, I would like to stop here with my questions. It's 11:50. I'll open up the questions for all the posts that all of you have given. I'm not taking any question from the chat box. I'll be taking from the Google form only. So I'll be filtering down a lot of these questions because I see a lot of questions are around my company is doing XYZ. How will I help my company? Amit really wouldn't be in the right place to comment on that because Amit is not working in your company. Okay, so let's keep it logical. Let's keep it decent, as in the ones that really oriented today's session. So Amit, I asked you a question some time back regarding helping us understand how did you kind of solve a certain problem. If you can just take it step by step. Don't have to get into nitty-gritties, and we really don't want to discuss the data out here. Anything that is security for you or security breach for you, please don't get into it. But anything on a very high level, how do you as a project manager take it from step one to step last?
Suchit, I mentioned, the CRIS methodology. That's what I mentioned. How to start with the understanding, then understanding of business, then data, then preparing of models. This is exactly what we do. This is the cycle. So as a manager, I have to see, that my team is actually involved. The specialists are involved in business discussion, understanding, they're properly documenting everything. BRDs are prepared properly. And then we have respective data sets available, understanding our data. And then based on that, data scientists are developing their models. And then, everything has to be documented properly in such a way that because it's very difficult to understand otherwise if you don't document things. So documenting is very important. So
any standard names? Yeah, any standard names for these documents? Like, do you actually follow any standard names, approaches? So anything that you have used in your experience?
We use actually. Just give me a second. My battery is getting discharged.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we'll hold on. So friends, I've been collecting
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, sorry, I didn't get it. We use GitHub to store all of
what I meant was any standard documentations like FSD, BSD.
Of course, that is something. That's what I mentioned. For functional document, we use BRD, business requirement document, and then we have technical requirement documents, which are actually, it's the same thing which we were using in a waterfall. The documentation remains the same, nothing much. The thing that changes is when you prepare a model, then you have to write it down in such a way that the other person, whoever is going to take it over, understands it very well. Then when you have a variable selection, then what are the reasons for the variable selections? What are the techniques? Why you there's a report. There's a complete report which is prepared, and which we have to share with the management also, which talks about the end to end. What is our understanding, and what data we have taken, why that data has been taken, and then, from where we have taken, we have to write everything, and what are the variables we are selecting. And based on our EDA and all those things, how we have decided on that data, how we have cleansed that data, what are the variables we have selected, and if we have prepared any synthetic data, then you have to mention that synthetic data, why you have created. So you have to explain everything, whatever you are doing in the document, so that, it's not like, you have just done it and the result is coming, because you are predicting something. You are predicting, there has to be the reason why you are predicting, because as I mentioned earlier, your prediction can destroy a company and can really give them good benefits. So, and the management really wants to understand what is there, why you have done it, how you have done it. They will just go into everything. Why you have done this thing, why you have taken these variable, why not that variable. So you should have explanation of everything. So your so-called data dictionary should be very, very well made. Your business BRD should be made, technical documents, your strategy, your complete data architect strategy should be there. The complete data structure should be there.
Right.
The tools you are using, you should be there. So a lot of documents which are involved. So see, when you are writing a code, writing a Python code or R code is not a very big deal. But why you are doing that is very important to understand. So it requires a lot of documentation.
Yeah. So a lot. A lot goes into it. One small question here that there are so many different steps. There's a lot of documentation involved.
Mm.
How do I keep track of my progress? So, are there any industry vetted metrics? Are there any metrics that we decide based on our customer requirement? What exactly is the process? How do we ensure that we are in the right path? So we are on the right path, right? So
Specific to documentation or evaluation of
uh,
model?
evaluation of model, evaluation of project, overall. So overall, I would rather prefer an overall evaluation. Modeling
Yes,
is just one part of it, yeah.
yes, I mentioned, I mean, it starts from the business. You know, when you get an understanding of the business, you have um, you have to mention, you know, what are the evaluation criteria, what are the agreed, um, you know, so-called, what do you call it, as acceptable limitations, you know, like 100% accuracy or 97%, all these have to be there. So your evaluation is based on what you're understanding in the I mean, you know, I mean, like how evaluation is done, what is ANOVA, what are the, how you evaluate your model.
Right,
So that understanding has to be developed in the very beginning itself.
right,
So, and once you are doing your QA or your testing on that application, then you have to prove that you have reached that based on that. So all these things are actually documented. I don't remember all the names of the documents. You are very specific about those, but the
okay,
general idea is that every step has to be documented and every step has to be linked to something on agreed thing.
absolutely. So great. I think it's more about the business goals. I mean, if you orient everything back to your business goals, and if you have a minimum acceptable criteria, I
Yes,
think that should be a starting point to really start thinking what are the right metrics, right KPIs that we should embed into our system.
yes.
Yeah, I think this totally makes sense. And for a lot of folks who are not into project management, a lot of these terms may not make sense to all of you. But it's okay. You guys can have a quick read on what is Crisp DM, what is exactly project management, what is Scrum, what is Agile. So we'll not discuss those questions. But there are two important questions which have nothing to do with it has nothing to do with data science. But I'm getting this question a lot, so I thought let's just ask this question. If I were to start my career in data science, what is the best way forward? And this comes from anybody. Okay, anybody means anybody from any background. Okay, anybody from any background. How would they move into data science?
See, uh, I got accidentally into data science. I had no idea what data science is. Rather, it bothered me a lot when people were using some terms and they were expecting a result out of from me, and then I didn't understand. I have gone through a lot of challenges to understand. Rather, I thought of even leaving it at one time. You know, enough is enough, because it's much more easier to understand an application, building ERP application. You know what are the things, you just configure it. It's much easier. And
Yeah,
then if you are going in for a customized application, you will have to talk to your managers. Your application is there. You can make modifications anytime. It's totally under your control. So I'm also coming from that background. So it was not easy for me to understand, get into a data science world, uh, because it needs a lot of subject knowledge, business knowledge, subject knowledge, data knowledge, and of course, very good knowledge about statistics. You should be very good in statistics, I tell you. If not very good, but at least you should have very good understanding. And I tell you, I mean, there are a lot of books available in the market. So it's not that, see, data science is no more a very lead kind of a thing. Lot of websites available, a lot of content, content available, books are available. You can just go through it. But it's always better if you want to get into a data science, then you have a structured course, because all the things are available in silos. You know, a lot of information available, but they're not connected to each other. So if you want to have a career in this, you should have a connected things available for you. Why it had started, what are the next step, third step, fourth step. If you are learning about regression, you should know a lot of other things, why regression is used, where it is used, where is the business importance of it. So that comes from a structured course, you know, which tells you why this is being required, why you want to. There are a lot of courses available which would, excuse me, which would actually tell you about, regression, but why it is being used, what is the business significance of it. We are not just learning statistical maths, so it has to bring in some output. So
right.
that comes from a structured course, or somebody is telling you, what needs to be done, how it is being done, why the hell you are doing it. So
Hmm.
I never had that kind of luck when I started, but now I see a lot of courses are available, And before getting into this industry or getting into this work of data science, people should get trained, because otherwise you will not understand what the other person is telling you, because they also don't know and you also don't know. So it's like two minuses.
Okay.
So if somebody, yeah, I mean, and if your client is very much well versed in data science and then they expect you to talk also in the same language, then becomes a challenge for you. So
You
you
better.
always get into the industry with a lot of knowledge in hand before. So
Right.
that should be your first step to take.
Right.
Learn things professionally.
Okay. So Amit, one question that relates back to this. Do you think data science is an overnight success or it's a journey? And saying that you have to be good in statistics, it's like you have to be good in statistics, then only you can learn data science?
No. I think I said like people should have good knowledge of statistics. Not expertise is not required. It's basic knowledge. What is mean, mode, median? What are outliers? These kind of small things which you probably have learned in your school or in college also.
Right. And do you need to first be like totally confident on all those topics to start data science, or it's okay to kind of learn data science while you're preparing for stats?
You can actually, data science contains that. So you start with your data science, you can learn all this also. So that is possibly the first step in data science they will be teaching.
Right. So if you don't understand everything right away, but that doesn't stop you kind of learn new things and then come back and revise it again.
Yes,
so over a period, you can always develop an expertise, right?
Yes. It's not something which you cannot do it. People from arts background can also learn it. So it's not something, stat doesn't mean you have to be a PhD or a doctor in stats. It's basic stats the person should know, understand. That's all.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. This was actually very important insight. And the reason why I chose this question is a lot of folks are asking, and it does relate back to a lot of people. And Amit is the perfect example, by the way. So Amit, one final question. This is also a very common question a lot of folks are asking. Since you are an industry veteran, you have been interviewing a lot of people. What are the common resume mistakes that you see across the board?
See, the common thing is like data science is not just R or Python. People normally just learn R and Python and they think they will have become data scientists. So it's not that. So data science means you should have a very good or a good or fairly good knowledge about your domain. So the person who is into banking, a person who is evaluating your resume will first of all check whether you have that experience or not, banking or not. So code is something which they can also hire people and get it done. But what code they have to write is something which, as a manager, you will be providing. Santosh Mehta is saying which is R or Python. Anything you can choose. Python is much more popular. See, the thing is, common mistake is that it's not just Python, knowledge of Python or R that will make you a data scientist. It is just like you know Java. What you have to develop in Java is much more important. So in data science, domain knowledge is very important. If you're going into automobiles, if you are a specialist in automobiles, you should be very good in automobile industry. And for banking, then you should check any domain, whether it is fraud analytics or it is cards or it is merchant banking or anything you should choose. If you're going to insurance, they should have good understanding of insurance and your biodata should include that experience. Domain expertise is also required. I've worked on insurance projects and this is what I have done and this is where I have used analytics. If you're into automobiles, I've done so many things in automobile industry and this is where I've used data science. If you're into some other field, if you're into fraud analytics, then this is where I have worked and this is where I have used fraud analytics and these are the tools I've used in fraud analysis and this is what I have done it in fraud analysis using analytics. So that is going to make, but just by writing Python or R that I've worked, I'm a data scientist, no, they will not take you. This is a common mistake people make.
Awesome. So I think, yeah, this really makes a lot of sense. Thinking data science is all about tools and techniques. That isn't what data science is. It's more of a thought process that needs to get embedded into the DNA of every person. So thanks a lot, Amit. I have overshot the session by 4 minutes. Sorry for that. But thanks a lot for helping us with your insights, your wonderful experience. It adds a lot of value to a lot of people who are very new into this industry, and especially a lot of us are much junior to you. And it's a great opportunity to learn from you. Thanks a lot, Amit. It was great.
Okay. Yeah, a couple of questions people have asked. I mean, I'm just looking at those.
Sure,
telecom,
please.
of course, telecom is also important. I think somebody has just now asked.
Yeah.
Telecom is a good domain, is in great demand. And somebody has said, that you have to, since we first work in a project about the domain, then enter. No, it's not that, but it's always going to help if you have a domain knowledge, because that is what people normally look for. But if you just want to get into a junior position, then just as a developer, then your technical knowledge will suffice, you know. But I think this session is about managers, you know, the senior people who want to get into that. So for that, you should have a domain knowledge, because you have to interact with the stakeholders, and they will talk business. They will not talk technical things.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Amit. It was great hosting you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. I think my discussion has been useful, and anything, just connect with Suchit, and he'll let me know about it.
Sure. And I'll give you the feedback for the session. There's a ton of questions which I couldn't ask because first is the time, and second is a lot of them are not relevant to managers per se. And very few were, I mean, very questions. I have quite a few of these questions are very specific, like how it is done in their perspective, which I think is not the right question for you right now. Probably it could be more of a generic question that would really suffice. But overall, thanks, Amit. A lot of information that I gathered from the session. I hope, friends, a lot of you could actually gather tons of information and insights. What I would request all of you is maybe what we'll try to do is maybe in future sessions, we might want to accommodate few of your questions. So feel free to add on your insights to the Google form. Okay, I've shared the Google form. Just keep posting whatever questions you may find relevant. I will discuss them with Amit as well. And if possible, we'll kind of post them in a future session. We'll have a more organized or rather narrowed down version of this session, because project management is a huge domain. So you really can't fit in everything in 1 hour's talk. Thanks a lot. We'll catch up again. Okay, for the July batch, we start our classes now. Come back to classes. For the rest of the folks, feel free to drop off. Thank you, Amit. It was great hosting you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
everyone.
Yeah. We can terminate the session. We are done for the day. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.